We're back. We're here at MMT003 with our main event fighter,
Josiah Pila.
The Polish Samurai. You said at the press conference, Coach Nick gave you that. And do you know how that was just random or?
No.
Well, you're Polish, obviously, but.
So I lived with Nick for about a year, and when I was living with him, I would just relentlessly watch anime. It was like training Muay Thai, and then I'd get home, eat dinner, and then just watch anime. And anime comes from the Japanese culture, and I'm Polish, so put the two and two together, Polish Samurai. My go-to anime at that time was One Piece. I was trying to get caught up on One Piece. My go-to anime right now, I think, is either Tower of God or My Hero Academia.
Speaking of God, anyone that knows you have a strong faith-based motivation.
Yes, sir.
So when you have tough moments in a fight, how do you draw strength from your spiritual beliefs?
In the fight?
Yes, during the fight.
That's interesting. That's a tough one because, I don't know, you don't really think about much in a fight. If I have a tough moment in a fight, it's just like push. Where I draw strength from God is in the preparation for the fight, during the fight camp. On those days that you don't want to go train, but there's a verse that talks about doing everything unto the Lord as if you're doing it for Him. So if I'm not giving it my all, I'm not living like how I should be. And that's what Jesus does for me, is he gives me an example of how I should be living my life.
Right.
To not be idle.
Right. So during your fighting career, you've had a lot of great accolades. You were the Freedom National Champion. You've had TBA national titles. You beat high-level fighters like Manny Fernandez. Which of those achievements means the most to you, and why?
That's also another tough question. I think probably beating Manny was probably the biggest achievement, just because I proved a lot to myself during that fight. And my last fight on Freedom, it was an awful fight. I had terrible cardio. I wasn't prepared. And in the Manny fight, I came out with fantastic cardio because the MMA doc helped me out with that. And I just had a mindset that I felt was unbeatable in that fight. It didn't matter who I was going to fight. Right. I was going to come out victorious. So probably that Manny fight.
So you retired due to a spiritual disconnect, but now returned to fighting, obviously. So what was the turning point that led you back to fighting? Because for a long time you were not sure if you wanted to do it or not. So kind of like, what was the turning point that you knew you were going to do it?
I just felt at peace. Before, I didn't have peace. Too much chatter going on in my head, too many doubts, insecurities, all that junk. But what Jesus does when you surrender your life to Him, when you surrender how you think you should be living to Him, He gives you peace and joy that is unexplainable. And living in that peace, I finally felt like I was able to make that decision. I can step back into the fight world, and enduring what you have to endure in a fight camp, I'll be strong enough to endure it with the peace that Jesus gives me. And seeing Carlos win his belt helped too. Yeah,
like, if that motherfucker can do it, I can do that.
Seeing my peers and my teammates achieve things was also a motivation.
Right. How has your approach to training and competing changed since coming back, if at all?
Just more focused.
Detail-oriented, or no?
What do you mean?
Is it more detail-oriented, or are you just more focused on what you need to do?
More focused on what I need to do, not making any excuses of why I can't do certain things, why I can't get my reps in this day or whatever. Just making sure I'm getting the things done that I need to get done.
The priorities, basically. Yeah. Just keeping your priorities straight. So, coming back, what are your goals? How long do we have you for?
And I'm not really sure. I'm just taking one fight at a time. That's about all I got for that.
So, what's your favorite way to celebrate a victory?
My favorite way to celebrate a victory? Probably a double cheeseburger with bacon.
From?
Five Guys is trash.
Overpriced white people food, Steven. Come on.
Indeed. Way too much. I almost worked at Five Guys one time. Anyways, back on track.
From where? Cheeseburger from where?
I don't know. It's always been different because I always fight in Chicago or something. And we go to just some bar in Chicago.
If you had an ideal burger place.
If Ruby Tuesdays was still a thing, that would be the place, I feel like. But I guess I don't have a specific place.
So if you had to describe your fight style with a music genre, what would it be? Which would it be?
My fight style with a music genre? I can't say that my fight style represents gospel. I ain't saving anybody in there. If I gotta go with either classical or metal, one of the two. Or like if that was a thing, if they were like, if you could combine classical and metal, that would be my fight style.
That makes sense. If you could open your own personal zoo, which animals would you keep there?
That's a good question. I would keep kangaroos for sure.
Why?
I don't know. I just, that was the first animal that popped back into my head. It popped into my head.
Maybe from the last interview. He said he would, if you, come on, watch the content. He said he would kick that fucker's ass.
Maybe. I don't know. He might piece me up. Anyways, I like lemurs for some reason. Just kind of cool looking. And then
kangaroos,
lemurs, and then eagles. Something about eagles in America. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. What would your death row meal be?
What?
Your death row meal? Like if you were on death row and they gave you one last meal, what would it consist of?
Buttered shrimp, T-bone steak, and peanut butter and jelly.
So just 3 entrees. Fucked all the sides. Just we're going for it. All right.
Sweet potato fries. I like sweet potato fries.
What to drink?
Probably just like, probably a beer. I don't know. It's an ice cold beer.
Right.
An amber lager or something like that.
All right. So we saved the best question for last because everybody's been dying to know. When you go to the movie theaters, which armrest is yours? Both of them? Just fuck everyone else? Just
No. I put my arms around. No.
Especially if you're with the homies. Like.
Yes, especially with the homies. Yeah.
All right. So that's all I got for you right now. I got one question. All right.
If you had to rate Phil as a fighter from 1 to 10, what would you rate him?
Negative 1.5.
Not -2?
Unless it was only fighting in the clinch. Then he'd be like a 1.5.
All right. Yeah. I have one other question. You reminded me, it has to do with Phil. So when Phil washes his face, how far do you think he goes up?
I feel like Phil only like washes his throat, like nothing else.
Just his underbeard, just his neck beard.
Yeah, just his neck beard.
All right, sounds good. We'll let you get back to your spiritual, I don't even know. Yeah. Spiritual preparation for your fight.
Thank you,
good luck. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.